We all rely on farmers and ranchers, but farming is riskier than other businesses out there. Crop insurance helps farmers manage their risk. With crop insurance, farmers put skin in the game by paying premiums and shouldering deductibles. That keeps taxpayers from having to pick up the whole bill every time disaster strikes. Today, about 90% of U.S. farmland is insured, providing $100 billion in protection to more than 130 different kinds of crops. It's a testament to the program's success.
Joined today by Congresswoman Cindy Axne, representing Iowa's 3rd District here in Washington, D.C. And just tell me, first of all, tell me about Iowa's 3rd District and agriculture in it.
Well, first of all, Iowa's 3rd District is the best place where you could possibly be. I'm a 5th-generation Iowan who grew up in that district, and so I've had an opportunity to travel it quite a bit. We, of course, have the biggest metropolitan area in the state, Des Moines and its surrounding suburbs, but our district is 16 counties in the southwest corner of the state and extends west to Council Bluffs. And then has 15 other fairly rural counties with agriculture there. So our farmers are planting, they're growing grain, they're growing corn, they're growing soybeans. We've got small farms, big farms, some mid-size. We've got organic farmers. We've got larger owned corporate scale farms. So we've got a big variety there.
And new here in Washington. Who is Cindy Axne?
Well, so I'm many faces. As I mentioned, a 5th-generation Iowan. Both my parents actually come from farm families. I say they met on the district line. My mom is from a farm family in Warren County, just outside of Milo. My dad's family is from Marion County, and they met at a church picnic right in between the two. And I've got a couple of sisters. I'm a mom of 2 teenage boys. My husband and I own a small business, and I've spent a decade really rooting out waste in state government and holding it accountable. I'd say who I am at my core from a business perspective is somebody who really wants to make sure that we function efficiently and effectively in government, that we solve problems for people. That's one of my kind of calling cards. I'm pretty darn good at solving problems and finding ways to get there. But I also am somebody who understands the issues that we're facing in our district, from a small business ownership on our main streets in our rural communities, all the way up to the issues we're facing from a healthcare and public schools. I've got kids in our public school system. I've bought insurance off the exchange before, so I'm hoping to bring that voice of understanding what our families are going through.
You mentioned your parents growing up on farms and going to your grandparents' farm in Warren County. Can you talk about what you learned from going there over summers and weekends?
Yeah, absolutely. And well, as my dad actually grew up on the south side of Des Moines. However, his family sold chicken and eggs, and we had about an acre of land there off Watrous Avenue. So he'd always go down to the family farm, pick up those chickens, bring them up to the city, get them ready and then they deliver chickens and eggs all around the city. And then my grandparents, were soybeans and corn and some pigs as well. So, it really, I think for me, what it instilled in me in that upbringing, first of all, a love for the outdoors. I loved being able to go down, in particular, to my mom's farm, because that's where they were still farming when I was a child. And be with my grandpa out on the tractor, feed the chickens, feed the hogs, play with the kittens that are always in the barn. My mom grew up though as a farm kid, so she had to clean the house all the time. So I also learned you take your shoes off before you get in the house. So I think it really instilled those values of hard work, of love for our soil and our outdoors just in general, and really a family setting, because it takes a heck of a lot, as we all know, to run farms, in particular small and mid-sized farms, and you need your family to be a big part of that.
And you talk about some of these rural communities, interesting district there for the 3rd District, that there's obviously the city of Des Moines and then the rural counties in southwest Iowa. Can you talk about just how you're going to focus on some of those concerns like rural broadband or access to rural health care? How do you plan to kind of combat some of those issues?
Yeah, well, absolutely. I had the opportunity throughout my race to travel the district extensively. I held over 150 meet and greets throughout the entire process, really traveling to areas where many times people said, we haven't seen somebody down here running for office in a heck of a long time. And so you get to know the people and you hear the struggles. So I tried to very much articulate to people in urban areas the struggles that some of our rural communities are facing. When I go to Mount Air and I find out that people have to pool their money together to buy new street lamps for the town square because there aren't enough local resources for that, that's a story I bring back to the urban areas where they don't have those types of difficulties, because we need to understand that we're all in this together, and we need to make sure we understand our neighbors, our friends, our families' concerns in those areas. So my goal is to make sure that I get out and talk with as many people in the district as possible. To your point, broadband and cellular are absolutely necessary for our rural communities to stay competitive in today's economy. I will be putting forth with other people a transportation and infrastructure bill to help us move that agenda forward quickly, and I'm looking for bipartisan support. There's a new representative out of South Dakota that I've already started talking to about working on this issue.
Other priorities you have for this session?
Certainly healthcare. I want to make sure that every single person in our district and our state has access to affordable quality health care. Our rural hospitals need to make sure that they retain the support from those expanded Medicaid subsidies so we can keep those doors open. As you're probably aware, our rural hospitals would lose about 20% of their revenue if we don't continue with those expanded subsidies. And we've got to address issues like, our farmers, for example, and their mental health. This is a stressful job. I talked to a farmer just the other day who's still trying to recover from the 2014 hailstorm that wiped out a lot of his acres, but then was hit by the trade wars, and now also certainly by the fact that government's not open, he's not able to pay off his operating loans, so he can't get his operating loans for 2019, and he's missing out on those early buys to receive those discounts, so he's losing money. So I want to make sure that we address those types of issues.
As far as just looking at your prior experience as a small business owner and community activist, how has that kind of got you where you are today?
Well, I'm never afraid to stand up and say what I think is right, and I'm hoping that that's the voice that best represents Iowans, and I think that's what helped me get to where I am. I will always stand up for the people in our district. I think having business experience coupled with working in government experience and also being an activist on issues, I think combining those three things together gives me an opportunity to say I know how to solve problems, I know how to fix issues, I also know how to communicate and articulate what needs to be fixed in a way that can best represent our district. And I'm not afraid to stand up and make sure that those who are in leadership understand what we need right here in my corner of the state.
Okay, so outside Congress, what do you like to do in your free time?
I love being outside. Before this, I was an avid cyclist, kayaker, like to hike, had dogs. I'd like to get another dog. That's all reliant on my husband. And so being outside is one of my big things, and certainly spending time with my family. So those would be a couple of things that I would like to get back to doing.
Congresswoman, thanks for your time today.
My pleasure. Thank you.